DFS ID is the Department of Financial Services' new secure, single sign-on experience across DFS systems, including the DFS Portal, DFS Connect, and all other licensing applications. In this video, you will learn about the different roles that users have within DFS ID, how to add additional users of DFS ID, and what to consider when assigning roles. For each regulated entity, DFS has assigned one entity administrator to serve as a company representative on DFS ID. Individual licensees, like most producers and mortgage loan originators, were automatically deemed entity administrator on their own behalf. Entity administrators are responsible for conducting business on behalf of their entity, as well as identifying and approving DFS ID accounts for users within their organization. That means entity administrators are responsible for adding DFS ID accounts for users who submit different filings on behalf of their entity. These users are added in specific roles with access to specific applications. Entity administrators can add as many additional entity administrators as needed. For example, an individual licensee may add an individual who typically files on their behalf, while a larger entity may have different entity administrators for each line of business. To invite users to DFS ID, select My Entities on the DFS ID homepage, and then select the entity. In the User Management tab, click Invite User. Then enter the email address and select the role for the user. Once the user is listed, click the Update button with the pencil. Scroll all the way down and select the box Grant this user full access to manage entity users and permissions. If needed, add additional users with the Add Another User button. Repeat this as many times as necessary, and then select Invite to add those users. The invited user will receive an email about their invitation, where they can select Create a DFS ID to set up their account. Before adding new users, it is important to understand that every user has a role that defines their responsibilities within an entity. Each role grants a different level of access and dictates what application a user can see. Roles are assigned during the invitation process and managed or changed within DFS ID. An application owner has the highest level of DFS ID access. That role grants access to all company applications and data, including privileged applications. A reviewer is the second level of access, granting privileges to review others' submissions and complete their own submissions within DFS applications. A submitter, the third type of role, allows a user to submit a form or data into a DFS application. The lowest level of access, deemed None, is for users who manage DFS ID access for their entity, but do not have access to any applications. This type of role may be assigned to IT or support staff who are not responsible for reviewing or submitting filings on behalf of their entity. If a user needs to use multiple applications but does not need to have the same access across applications, the entity administrator should assign that user with the highest access needed to perform their job duties. For example, if the user needs to be a submitter for one application, but a reviewer for another, the entity administrator should make that individual a reviewer within DFS ID. Please be aware that an entity administrator must also be assigned roles. This may be anywhere on the hierarchy of roles, from application owner, if that individual should have access to all data and filings, or the lowest level of access if the entity administrator is responsible for inviting others to DFS ID but does not review or submit filings. In DFS ID, individuals who are entity administrators have shield icon next to their role. In this view, you can see that each entity administrator has a different role. It is the responsibility of the entity to understand which data, information, and applications are available to each DFS ID user and protect that data and information. That means it may not make sense to make every company representative an application owner. Entity administrators have the ability to manage user roles, including changing their roles or deleting users. To do so, enter the user's email address in the search bar and select the email address in the drop-down. Under Action, select the new role you want to assign. At this time, you can also add or change Entity Administrator access from the page. Then click Save for the new role to be reflected in DFS ID. DFS has created a DFS ID user guide that outlines these instructions and provides additional information for entity administrators. To access the user guide, as well as FAQs, videos, and more, visit the DFS ID Hub at dfs.ny.gov/DFSID.